Welcome to Storage Wars. You can look, but you can't touch. Yeah, we are in my new storage space, climate controlled, bigger than my old one. And I'm gradually moving as much stuff in here as I can. Just why? Well, I'll talk about that in another video. So gradually, usually on my way back from work, I drop stuff off here, one carload at a time. In particular, I just recently brought over the Stromberg Carlson I got a while ago that had been in my garage for about 2 years, and now finally I can get some good footage of the front of it. So, might not be the most attractive thing to look at. It's actually one of my favorites. That's one of my most prized possessions and one of the rarest things I've got. And yeah, it's got some damage, but I do have the pieces of molding that broke off the bottom, some stained nasty grill cloth, plain front, but it's a rather unusual set. Very cool control panel with cables running down to the chassis inside. It's a big 19-inch set, the only 19-inch set I've got, actually. Well, that's not what this video is about. What this video is about is this, which I just picked up last night. Been looking for one of these for a long time. It's an RCA 721 TCS as opposed to the 721 TS tabletop set. This is the cabinet version, or console version, I should say. Well, it's got some issues. Most notably, it's been painted, and I think by the person I picked it up from, because it looked like they just recently painted it. I was tipped off about this on Video Karma that it was for sale in my area on Etsy. So I bought it, and I just picked it up. And the main reason I got it, other than having looked for one for a while, is that in spite of it missing the insides, I've got the insides. You may recall I picked up a 721 off of Craigslist for just 20 bucks a year or two ago that came with a really rough cabinet, but the chassis is, well, it's in such good condition and all original, and it actually pretty much works. I did a video on it where I just, it was working right off the bat with its old parts, and I replaced one cap and it worked even better. So that's the chassis I want to put in here. They attached some funky, totally inappropriate knobs here. I think they were thinking that somebody would want this like as a nightstand or something in their bedroom or as a piece of furniture. She doesn't know what condition the veneer is in underneath this, but from what I can see, it looks pretty tight. I don't see any major pieces gone. And originally it would have had a faux finish around here. So I would have had to do some work anyway. It's probably end up reveneering all of this. And it's worth it. It's a not often seen set, and it looks really, really stunning when it's all refinished. So what I'm going to do now is unload this stuff and dig out the chassis, try to get these off and pop it in there. Show you guys what it should look like when it's all together. So here is that 721 I was talking about. Pitch tube's been taken out. So it came with all the knobs. Good solid chassis. A bit of a crack on the dial. Escutcheon, but can live with that. And as I said, the cabinet was rough. Not that it couldn't be repaired, but given the rarity of the TCS version, I think it's worth time and effort to strip it and refinish it and pop this chassis into it. Here's a look underneath the chassis before I put it into the new cabinet. Now I found out from someone online about some of the changes I'll need to make, and I already knew that this has a big speaker down below, so this will go, and so does the output transformer. And the wire should be routed down to the new one, which includes field coil, output transformer, and also, so a hold down here is for a light bulb that goes off of the filament. So I'll need to install that as well if I want to bring this back to the original. Otherwise, they did reuse the same chassis, so I saw a photo of one online, and there's just an empty square here in the mounting holes. So I just used the same chassis and took this stuff out. Now, this is not covered in the standard service literature for the 721 tabletop. There's a supplement, and just happened to be a copy on eBay, so I bought that along with the owner's manual for the TCS. That should come in very handy. And notice how green this is. Yes, that is cadmium corrosion, so I want to wash my hands after handling this. Stuff is toxic. Alright, so I got all the fake knob cover things I had in there removed. So this is ready to slide inside. Now I should also do the channel cover plate. It's a plastic disc that goes on here, although I think the really early ones are metal, but this is a plastic one. And then there is a, well, I'm not sure how it's held on. Let's see, I think there's a spring clip on the back. Yeah. So, I'll carefully undo that. I've seen so many of these where the ears get broken off. That old plastic is very brittle. Well, unfortunately, I ran into some hiccups right away. One, I don't know how to get this front off. There are two wing nuts, like the tabletop has, but this one also has two screws down below. The cabinet version does not. So I loosened the two wing nuts on it, and the top came off a little loose, but something holding it on down here. Now, it might be underneath this clip. And it looks like that clip is off center, which is a good indication that it moves. But I've tried poking and prodding, and it doesn't want to do anything. So I'm going to wait till I hear back from some guys online who have the same set to see how this comes off. So in order to put this plastic bit on, you need to get at this part behind. And so I got to figure out how this cabinet thing comes apart. The other problem was with that speaker install, the chassis doesn't come forward enough for me to put knobs on. So for now, that is going to be it, as good as it's going to get. So, well, I might as well just let the cat out of the bag. So, why am I moving all this stuff into storage? Because I bought a house. I'm still in the process of finalizing things and closing on it. But hopefully, in a few weeks that will be dealt with, and then I'm going to start moving. Now, I bought this bigger climate-controlled storage unit because I don't want to move all this stuff immediately into the new place. I want to do some work in the basement, set up a lab, figure out where I want to display sets, and I don't want to bring all these into my place. Anyways, I got some duplicates, some stuff I want to sell off, some stuff I'm not sure what I'm going to do with. So I'm going to move a bunch of it into storage, and yeah, obviously I'm making terrible use of this space. I need to get some big shelving units. I'm looking around for those as well. So I got plenty of height here. I'm going to get some big heavy-duty deep shelving systems. I'll be able to put quite a few sets in here. All right, so I think that is going to be it for now. I hope you enjoyed this look at an RCA 721 TCS from 1947. A not very often seen set. Just one last thing. I got out of work a little bit early today and swung by Lowe's on the way home. And I was glad I did because it was the last day of sale on these guys. Nice, deep, heavy-duty shelving units, 2 feet deep, perfect for holding TVs and various spare picture tubes and whatnot. And plenty of holding capacity, 800 pounds per shelf. That's more than adequate, and they are nice and tall, 72 inches. So a good 6 feet tall there. So that'll be perfect. I got 4 of them. So next time I run to the storage unit, I'll start setting these guys up, and that'll go a long way towards helping me get all my stuff stored safely away. Well, it just so happened that my copy of the original service data arrived before I had a chance to edit and upload the video, so I'm going to include it. So it is pretty darn similar electrically to the TS, but there are enough differences that I figured it warranted its own service info. You can see here it came in walnut or mahogany. I'm pretty sure I have the mahogany version. And there is some information about how to get the cabinet apart, so that will definitely come in handy. Also, these sets, these early RCA sets from 46, 47, maybe 48, shipped without the CRTs installed, and they actually install from the front. Which, if you've never worked on one of these before, is a very good thing to know, because if you just go to the back and pull the chassis out, the picture tube will very likely get damaged, because as you pull the yoke out, it's only supported by a couple or 4 little clips at the front. You pull the chassis out and the CRT just goes boom, and you probably break the neck off of it. So you definitely want to take the front off of the cabinet, pull the CRT out of the front, and then pull the chassis out of the back. And here's the schematic, parts list, wiring diagram. So I already reviewed this, and here's where the main differences come in down here. So camera will focus here. There we go. So there's the pilot lamp. And here they mention to speaker socket. So that's for the field coil, and there's also an AC interlock, or DC, or B+ interlock, I should say. So it's that shorting bar there between 2 and 3. And there's the output transformer, which is mounted on the speaker. And then there's the audio output tube and such. So I'm going to need to modify my TS chassis to wire up to that speaker, and I'll add a connection for the pilot light. The other thing I got, which is neat, is the original owner's manual. Which is fairly generic to other RCA sets at the time. I think there's nothing particularly specific to the TCS. Also notice there's a supplement here. Some people were having trouble adjusting their brightness and contrast, so they added some extra controls for that. Or extra instructions for that, rather. So who would have guessed that I finally stumbled across one of these cabinets, and somebody just happens to have the original info up on eBay. Alright, back at the storage space for round 2. Still hadn't posted the video yet, so hey, let's just keep it going. Well, I finally figured out that I just had to take a whole bunch of wood screws out from the inside, and then this whole piece comes out, which would be very handy for when it comes time to refinish this. And very likely have to replace the faux finish that was under here. If it's still there, I imagine it's not in the greatest shape, and when I strip this off, it's going to remove whatever might be remaining, so I'll end up putting real veneer over that. Alright, so now we can get at this. The speaker looks to be in good shape. I can clean all this crud out. And, there we go, the old pilot light is still in there. And now I can undo the wing nuts and get this off. So I was wrong, that clip did not come out. It was attached to that whole front board. So I still need to get this speaker off. I need a 1/4-inch nut driver to do it. And of course I didn't bring one. So next time I stop off here, I will get that off and removed. And then I can finally mount this chassis. But for now, at least, I can get that channel plate on this guy. Alright, so that goes on something like that. I'll need to adjust the clip a little bit more, but I think you get the idea. And yeah, I have been busy setting up shelves and moving sets in here. I'll do a separate video reviewing the whole collection in the near future. I just finished removing the speaker, and I think it's all ready to slide the chassis in now. I presume that hole was for where the wiring harness would run down to this guy. And there should have been a plug on this side. You can see the remnants of it here. So I'll try to figure out what kind of plug and socket this had and hook it up. So we got field coil on the speaker, we got output transformer, and the little pilot light down there, and there was also a B+ interlock on this. So without the speaker being plugged in, there'd be no B+ going to the rest of the set. I guess that was a safety feature. With that speaker out of the way, I had no trouble getting the chassis in all the way. Just shafts are all the way sticking out now. So I went ahead and took the screen protector off. Nice piece of wood, very well made. And I'm going to install a CRT. Unlike most sets, these early 4647 RCAs, you had to install the CRT from the front. They shipped these without the CRT, and they were installed in the field. And I've heard horror stories, and can only imagine people pulling out the chassis from the back, and the CRT stays in the cabinet. And once you lose the support on the neck from this yoke, it just goes plunk and probably breaks the neck right off. So yeah, it just goes right in from the front, and you got these 4 little support guys here. Should have some rubber cushioning on them. It's pretty well worn away, but I'll be careful for now and just gently rust it in there. Alright, I dug up a genuine RCA Victor CRT and tore off some foam to get some cushioning in there. That's just some crud on the face. It'll clean off easily. So, it's an early genuine RCA 10BP4 CRT. Now, if I had access to power in the storage facility, I'd very likely plug this thing in and it would work. Because even though it hasn't been recapped, I did get this set working. Normally I wouldn't do that, but when I picked up this set, the seller had the thing already plugged in and turned on. Alright, so now I can get the front back on, and let's see this thing all back together with some knobs on it. And there she finally is, all back together. Now I didn't tighten that down everything real tight, so I will have to take this apart again to strip it down and to get it fully functioning again. But for now, that is some idea of what it's supposed to look like. So this will finally be the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at an RCA 721 TCS.